All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Was the meeting properly noticed?
Yes, it was.
Roll call, everyone is here, other than John, and we'll assume these will be coming shortly. I need a motion to approve the agenda. Motion made by Rick Pease, seconded by Scott Pease. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And it's earlier. Agenda is approved. Minutes from December 5. I would use a motion to accept them, and Jerry Baylor made the motion, seconded by Rick Pease. Any discussion? Additions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, they are approved. Public participation.
I have none at this time.
Can I be added to that list, please? Let me be on there.
You want to be under what?
What item number?
The whole agenda, please. Or can I?
We haven't got that much time.
Well, I just cover it and then, I mean, I'm not gonna. But we should have things, leave it open to.
Is yours
for
thing
me.
on?
No,
Right. Yeah. So you want to just say that out loud for him?
As a board member, you can just talk. You don't have to be put under public participation.
okay, thank you.
All right. Any correspondence?
None.
All right. Treasurer, Janny, I see you were present.
I'm here somewhat. Happy Monday.
And same to you.
We
Thank
have
you.
the report there. As you can see, the interest rates they climb a little bit every time, so far so good. Nothing out of the ordinary. We did close the Farmers Merchants Bank account. That was at 0.35 and put it in one community bank. That's where it went.
Any questions for Janny? What about, you haven't got anything in CDs, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay,
We've kept it these are the higher rates. The money markets and the regular accounts are at the higher rates than the CDs are. And then the PMA, that's where we went with what we had authorized before.
okay. Anything else? Thank you, Janny. IT. Rick.
Good morning, everybody. Any questions on the reports?
Scott, please.
I just got one. I'm still, I think probably everyone else is having trouble. We can get into the agendas and whatnot through Chrome. I think maybe that the general public might be having the same issue. Is there any way to fix that? The calendar?
As far as Chrome or?
No, as far as getting through it through the regular channels that. Because most people, when you go to the website and you click on Adams County, you go to that calendar, you won't be able to get in, but you can with Chrome. Through Chrome.
We haven't heard any reports of people having that problems from home. A lot of us at work use Chrome and don't have an issue.
Yeah.
Microsoft Edge and Chrome are the same background, so if it works in Chrome, Google Chrome, it works in Microsoft Edge.
All right, I'll show you afterwards the problem I
And
have.
I know there's problems on the iPads themselves with Safari. When it
That is
typically wants you to prove that you're not a robot.
right.
Yep. So we just have told everybody to use Chrome instead of Safari. That's kind of limitations of the way Apple does things.
Okay, if it can't be fixed, it can't, but I'm sure others in the community are having the same issue, so.
Is that just an Apple?
It's a Safari thing. We think it's caused by, you got multiple tabs open. So we have gone through and told Safari on your devices to close tabs automatically after a day. But the problem becomes that if you use your iPad every day, then in reality, it doesn't ever close all those tabs. But because so many tabs are hitting it at one time from one IP address, it's flagged as being potentially fake.
I guess that brings up the question then, if you're at home with an Apple, and you would have that problem.
I do not believe so.
All right, thank you. I just thought it was something that could be fixed.
Any other questions?
Stuff in the board.
Next question was,
John?
what stuff in the boardroom here? Update on that, please, Rich.
We received an invoice on Friday that stated the equipment was in. I have gotten no official notice that the equipment was in, nor has anybody reached out to schedule a date and time. I thought the last I had heard was early last week, they were still waiting on 4 pieces of equipment. So the fact that the invoice was generated leads me to believe that the equipment did arrive, but the vendor has not contacted me with any additional information.
No, that wasn't shipped via balloon, was it?
No, I do not believe so. Or maybe that's why it came in so quick. Because the last I heard was April, so maybe it was on the balloon. But so I would kind of be inclined to say that the schedule should be moved up from April, because they originally were talking about April as the delivery of the 1 piece of equipment. So once I know, I'll let Cynthia and everybody know.
Nothing else, we move on to human resources.
Is there any questions on my report?
Supervisor Kozlowski.
I'm just looking at this, it's not clear. It says hiring, transfers. Is there a way to distinguish why these departures happened, if they were retired or quit? I guess it's not clear to me on why these transfers took place.
I'm sure I can distinguish, but at the end of the report, I do put the retirements on there on each. But if you'd like me to do it in the posting, I
Okay,
can
I
do
see it
that.
there, I see, okay. Is there a FOIA? I'd like to request a FOIA on these employees. Are those available?
What are you requesting?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think right now, it's not on the agenda for that. And then the other thing I'd have to look into and see exactly what you're requesting. So I don't think we should be discussing that though right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Supervisor Scott, please.
Michelle, we're having trouble at the highway department getting a mechanic out there. What's the process to go through to try and raise the minimum amount of pay that they're gonna pay out there?
Sure, right now, we actually are, I went out for bid for our wage study. And those bids did come back. Do you want me to discuss that part of it right now? I can, so those bids came back, and McGrath and Carlson Detman both came in with a bid. Kyle and I went through those bids, and McGrath was considerably lower at $16,175 lower at the base of the project, and over 29,000 lower. So we decided to go with McGrath. In order to do that restructure, it'll be a part of our classification and compensation study that should be kicking off within the next month. I do have, in speaking with that, surrounding counties are having the same issue with our mechanic position. And it has been challenging to find one. We have been open since September. So yeah, did you want me, are you asking to go out now for it?
No, that's sufficient. If it needs to be in the future, I think Pat would be the one to ask for that. And I just wanted to say thanks. You're doing a good job.
And we do have part of the meeting is a closed session for a mechanics position, so.
Oh, okay.
Sure,
And just one more question. Is this, I see these transfers and these employees. Is this a typical, is this a normal amount or number? I mean, I don't know.
That's normally what we've had on our agenda.
And I mean.
We have about that many openings.
Transfers.
Yeah, this is also what you're seeing is 2 months worth because we didn't have admin finance in January.
Okay,
So you are seeing 2 months worth, but it is typical, yes.
okay, thank you.
Any other items on your report? You need a report? It's not.
No,
Okay.
John, I have a quick question.
Can I see a
Michelle.
question?
Michelle, a lot of these date back to beginning of last year. When do you update and leave some of those off? Like Health and Human Services, I know some of them left way back last year. So can you update them, or when do you update them as far as the retirees and so forth go?
the retirees, so that what you're seeing is on the retirees, you saw last year's, because I was reporting from December. Those will come off on my next, I thought I took those off then and reset it for 2023. So
Thanks.
you're welcome.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll move on to the court counsel's report.
I just want to go over the pending legal action. I have a few updates there. First one, Christopher Reinke versus Adams County. We finally have a telephone scheduling conference on that one, so dates will be set for motions and such on that one. Keeps versus Adams County, that has been sent out to our insurance carrier. There has been an attorney appointed on that one, and so that's being handled. Nothing that I need to do further on that one. Caleb Reardon, again, I did send that out to our insurance carrier just for more for notification. There's been no further action on it. And I did just receive an email this morning that again, they don't believe that at this time there's anything further that needs to be done on that. And then on the Getson matter, attorney Andrew Jones has been appointed on that by our insurance carrier. I did have a good discussion with him last week. An answer has been filed to the claim, and he will keep me updated on that matter. Any questions at all?
Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the county clerk's report.
Any questions? It's also December and January.
Rick Pease.
Are you gonna have a problem with the county board being on the same night as your primary election?
No, we should be fine.
Okay,
One question, what,
Yeah.
I saw that machine audit. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What does that entail?
The machine audit was through legislation, and 6 of our municipalities got picked to verify that the machine counted the votes correct.
When did that take place, Mike?
November.
Okay. Thank you.
Or it may have been the first week in December.
Okay. All right, thank you.
otherwise is underneath your report, we have the dog and marriage license fee report.
Is that separate?
Okay. They're separate reports, or not, they're part of dog license, marriage license reports. So,
I have a question.
yes,
Dog licenses. I mean, it seems that there's a lot more dogs than what we have for licenses here. How do you get the word out that their dogs should be licensed in Adams County?
We publish it in the newspaper.
There's no public awareness like that. Oh, maybe she's got a response or a question. I'll let her go first.
I mean, and this is a personal opinion by the office that writes them up. Since we no longer have an actual animal control officer, it has decreased immensely in our opinion. And that's made a world of a difference. You can look at our reports from one year to the next, and you can see even our multi-dog licenses where they have 5 or 6, they're not coming in. Went from say like 25 to 16.
I
So
believe that.
I think that may have some play into it, but people know. And the Humane Society and everybody, when they're really good at putting it out there in the city and whatnot, so it's just a matter of the people.
Do you know if that Humane Society, if you pick up a rescue there, do they automatically license you there also, or?
I don't know how to answer that one, if it's their own dog and license, but if you get a dog from there, that's part of the contract.
Okay.
so you need a motion to accept the report and send on the county board.
Before we go a little bit further, John,
Yeah.
regarding that. So do we have like a relationship with the veterinaries and so forth, those animals that are being addressed either for health reasons or spade issues or so forth, that we can get a report from them for anything that is from Adams County? That, and the other question I had, isn't the municipalities responsible for these licenses or identifying the licenses, or do I have that backwards?
You can do it at the municipality or at the county treasurers, and the vets do encourage. I don't know if they require it, and if you show at the fair, you have to have a license. So, I mean, most people are aware of it.
The statute is basically, it's actually kind of through the county clerk, and they can authorize, or the municipality can authorize other people to do it. So if they don't do it, that's kind of how we end up.
I'll move to accept this report.
And send on the county board.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, a motion by Supervisor Barkey, second by Supervisor Scott Pease. Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion is approved. The reports will be sent on to county boards. Next, we have county manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. So I'll begin my report with, as usual, appreciations or recognitions and of county personnel. Samuel Bortz has done an excellent job writing an article that's informative, interesting, and concise. And it showcases Adams County again. So this is now the second article that's been posted. I reported one that happened last month. And again, it showcases his talent and professionalism. So congratulations, Samuel Bortz, and thank you for a job well done. Next, so many departments do so much behind the scenes that puts Adams County government in a positive light. It's nice when our citizens actually reach out to us with accolades. And this recognition goes to Pat Godlowski and his team for the communications surrounding County Z. So congratulations, Patrick Godlowski and team, and thank you for a job well done. Page 2. You heard discussions earlier today about the audio visual, so I had this marked as April, so it looks like it may be March or April, depending on the vendor information that Rich receives. Veterans Memorial still for a spring 23 completion. County Highway M, the total project cost is still estimated to be 8.3 million. So last month I had reported that we had that one bid come in, that's for the construction piece. 7.6 million, we still have another piece, consulting engineering. And I make a note in here that the consulting engineer is similar to like an architect is for a building project. So road projects versus a building project. Happenings. As you know, we have a new register of deeds, is join you and joining me in, welcoming her, and then also, we're excited. We're excited she came on board, and the fact that it's an internal candidate too. Satellite location for the congressional assistant for Congressman Derek Von Orden has been taken care of. This is just a satellite location. He's only going to be here like one day a week. And we figured that instead of having it here in the courthouse where someone would have to go through security to see him, that we would just have a spot at the community center. It makes sense that it would be there. The emergency procedure refresher training, we're doing what we can to be progressive and providing this hands-on training. So this is something that will probably take place every year. Land and water, I want to bring to your attention that there's a drone that was bought that created efficiencies in land and water. So special thanks to Dusty and the land and water team. Page 3. I have a picture here of some work that was being done on our trees out here, the ash borers, the tree damage. And so not only was it done here on the front lawn, it was also back by our parking behind the building. And a new section I've created now in my reports is like, what's on the horizon? I figured it's good for you guys to know what's just around the corner, because by the time you get my report, sometimes this stuff has already happened. So the 2023 WCA Legislative Conference is on the horizon, and if you have not registered, you still have time to do so. I think I saw a few of you there last year. All right, and we are beginning a process now. I say we, but I think I'll take this on. This is the quarterly strategic plan status reports. I'm going to start doing that every quarter so that you can see what we've done to satisfy our strategic plan. And then also this will come up or bring up the retreat ideas that were part of this process. I'll incorporate that as well. Next one, the time study for the Sheriff's Department is underway. We've got the first phase done, and we anticipate having a recommendation in March, so another month here. Splash pad presentation. This is something I'm trying to do. I'm trying to work collaboratively with the municipalities and City of Adams to get a splash pad out there. So I've interviewed with, Rome and Boston and Westfield is the next one. So I'm going to put together a presentation for them, not necessarily going to show you, but if you're interested, I'll let you know when that meeting is so that you can attend their meeting. I'll do this presentation.
I'm interested in that, if you would please send me something.
Okay. Next, another new initiative here is I'm going to start providing training, because this was brought up in the annual retreat to provide board training and, subject matters like levy or fund balance and all of that. So you can kind of understand our financials a little more and kind of like what our challenges are with levy. So levy is the big one. And so I figured I'd start there. So what's going to happen is that we're going to have these trainings every quarter as part of a committee of the whole. And then that recording then gets put on our website so that you can refer back to it whenever, or if we have new board members coming on, we won't have to repeat this particular training. And so bear with us, as this is going to be created by every recorded meeting. So there's nothing there. It's not set up yet. So the first committee of the whole will have this levy training. It has a dual purpose too, because the next bullet point is where I'm trying to do a presentation at the municipal level to kind of show them a true picture of what it takes. So if they sell land at a discount because we have a developer situation, they tend to focus on that only and say, we want more money. But what they don't see is the tax benefit on this side. And so this presentation will kind of lead into that. and then I can share it with them at the municipal level as well. My hope is that they realize that by working with, the economic development and getting these businesses here at, selling the land at a discount, if not give it away somehow, that there is a long-term benefit, and then I can show them when they start realizing that, the cost of giving something up versus your potential income in the future. We go to page 4 at the bottom. I always like to give you what was covered in economic development, and I do have some updates from Rome. Sounds like they are getting more efficient with their web, more customer service oriented here with their website, online forms and payment options. They've got, a lot of happenings going on up there with the expanding roads and such. And then they also have new positions that they, the three officers and then 1 public works person. Were there any questions on my report?
Supervisor Kozlowski.
Thank you for that, Cynthia. I thought I'd wait till you got done with that report before I had questions. Getting back to Derek Van Orden, can you tell us, I wasn't clear of the date and time he's going to be there at the community center?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Right now, I do not have a schedule.
Okay.
The first order of business was to get him a place, and I think, I'm almost thinking, I thought he said to me maybe Friday, but don't commit me on that. He was just kind of bouncing things around. I don't think he really knows yet. I think
Okay.
he's trying to make it where he's like on a route for the area, and maybe we'll just be part of that. So that will come later.
Any idea how we can find out when we have that clear on that schedule?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So I'm in contact with him, and he'll let me know, and then what I can do is I'll send out an email communication.
Okay, we appreciate that. Any idea on what kind of topics will be discussed or he's going to be presenting?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
No,
All right, thank you for all that, Cynthia. Appreciate it.
thank you.
The clerk mentioned that she had sent his contact information to all county board supervisors, so you should have that. Look in your email, it was in the email form.
Okay.
And then probably through his website is where we'd have anything that would be their hours and stuff. And if I would assume that it's just gonna be that he would have office hours, that he would be there, that would be open, that any constituents could probably stop in and chat with him, right? Is where I'm thinking that would be, so.
Word out, we appreciate that.
Any other questions on Cynthia's reports? If not, we'll move on to the project status report. Kyle?
Sure.
Yes.
We've looked through the project status report. There's a few updates on there. There wasn't really too much going on with some of the projects that I had listed on it, that I was covering. But if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, Supervisor Kozlowski.
I just had a question. Can you tell us more about this land acquisition? Item number FY 2022. What that property is or where it's located?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, so that land acquisition, that's for the airport. I think we had someone from the DOT present. Was it at the board or was it at Admin Finance?
It was at the board.
It was at the board, yeah.
The Bureau of Aeronautics. Yeah.
They came and presented for the board on what that land acquisition process looked like and what was going on with it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to offer that, definitely watch that presentation, very interesting and informative.
Yeah. It's south of the airport for the runway. There. That
Tree
is,
tree removal or is there, I mean, what's the reason for this?
Yeah, it's part of the height restrictions and having nobody in that part of the runway for overshot. So I think, yeah.
Safety related?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions on any of the projects in this report? Thanks, Kyle. Then the AirPro work group, we'll move on to that.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Since the last time this was presented, there hasn't been any new funds spent, besides on the Clear Company onboarding software, I believe, is about the only one that had any activity. Any questions on the report?
Supervisor Scott Peter.
The total money spent, is that the actual amount of money you put out there? Or is that the total amount of money that is already obligated? I guess, is there two different things?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yep, so the total funds spent is what we have actually paid out. And then we have the total funds obligated, at about $2.4 million. And then we have anticipated projects down below. So we have what's spent, what we've obligated, and then anticipated projects, and then what's remaining.
So is there any oversight on making sure that some of these are actually getting done, and do they return like the money spent as far as bills and stuff to you, or no?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're not paying anything out unless we have the service or the goods provided.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Kyle? Okay, thanks, Kyle. And then your quarterly report?
So this is for fourth quarter, so the end of 2022. We don't have all final journal entries made, but there's a bulk of them that have been completed. So if the expenses are over 100% spent, you're going to see a note on there. If the revenues are under 100%, there's also going to be an explanation on that. Any revenues that exceeded projections by 50,000 or more, you'll see a note on that. Any expenses that were under by 50,000 or more, there's gonna be another explanation for that as well. Does anybody have any questions on this report? Overall, the county's looking in fiscal year 2022.
Yeah, as we move forward here, I guess, I mean, as this is a quarterly report, I guess, you know, if you're gonna do one for March, right? I mean, I don't know how many more journal entries you have on the end of the year. It'd be nice to see a summary on the end of the year too, if you know, if it's warranted, meaning that there's a big change in it, I guess, so.
Okay.
I'd like to see that anyways, before we get to the end of the year, you know, so. Any other input from any other supervisors? Questions? Okay, thank you.
Well,
Next, moving on to the discussion action items. First one's a resolution to create self-imposed debt limit of 3% county equalized value. I don't know if county manager's handling this or,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
I can certainly begin, but then I'll turn it over to Kyle. So this is essentially just getting a message out to the community that we're going to be fiscally responsible. So we have a debt limit that's set by the state at 5%. We're being more aggressive than that to send a message that we're going to be even more physically responsible than what the state allows by doing it at 3%. And if you see the amount, we have plenty of space for financing. So Kyle, do you want to maybe go through the detail of that?
Mr. Chair?
yes,
Yeah, so what County Manager Haggard is referring to with the percentages, it's the percent of the total countywide equalized value. So the state sets it at 5% of countywide equalized value, which is about $171 million debt limit for Adams County. What we're proposing to do with this resolution is set it at 3% of the equalized value, which would be a debt limit of just over $102 million. So currently, the principal outstanding isn't anywhere close to that. I believe it's 5 million principal outstanding, and get that exact figure here in a second.
Well, in the whereas there, it's a current principal amount outstanding debt is 5.3 million, right?
Yep, sorry. Yep, I forgot I wrote that. My apologies.
That's good.
Are there any other questions on this resolution?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
what I can offer, like what's out in the horizon for a debt, right? We potentially have a building project. We have highway projects that could potentially be on debt. I mean, we're talking way out. We have solid waste debt, and that's probably a larger one. But even with all that considered, this is still a conservative and doable limit.
Supervisor Rickey,
I'll move this resolution forward.
okay. Motion, second, motion by Supervisor Rickey, second by Supervisor Taylor. Discussion or questions? Supervisor Kubarski?
Yeah, just a quick question. What would be the purpose of this now versus, when it's been in the past, just to send the reminder to the people, taxpayers of Adams County, that we're fiscally conservative, or is it something other than that?
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
So the message is, yes, that we have been and will be fiscally responsible or conservative, but in addition to that, even more so now.
Supervisor Prostowski.
Chair, it's a question for Cynthia. Cynthia, do you have a forecast on that anticipated debt for the highway? Garbage, landfill and those other.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Yes, we have sort of a worst case scenario. And we are well within that limit. So why do I say worst case scenario? Because decisions have to be made at committee levels on what direction to go with particular things, which would require debt or not require debt. So those decisions are made. So we did, or they're made at the committee level. What we've looked at is worst case scenario.
Do you have any numbers on any forecasted debt?
It's millions, I mean, we have a building project that could be, I think the last time it was estimated, we'll say 25 million, let's just go there for a building project. We have a footprint at solid waste that could be a $5 million project. We have cell expansions that could be 3 million every 3 years. This is the worst case scenario I'm presenting to you now. And highway project, no, we haven't really looked at debt there, but there could be debt. So I haven't really done any. We've been very lucky with having reserves for the highway projects.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Supervisor Scott, please.
Would this affect any of the interest rates on say bonding or something if you lower your rate? Or your fiscal responsibility?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
this will have no impact on that.
because when we look at bonding, we look at what we currently have outstanding, correct? So. And my understanding would be is that since it's a resolution, it's really for the term of that county board sitting, right? So it's pretty much,
That is correct. Yeah, if something unforeseen happened, it can always be changed back up to the 5% statutory limit.
okay. So we got a motion, a second out there. Any other discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. This resolution will be sent on to county board then. Next is vacant registered deeds position.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So I'll begin. I'm not sure if I need support here, but we did have a meeting this morning. So the process, as you know, typically a time study would
would not be presented to the committee. It was just a special, unique situation. And also, in addition to that, vacancies, whether they're filled or not, because they already exist. So whether vacancies are filled or not is another thing that typically would not come to administrative and finance, but in this case, since it started with the time study having to go here, figured it's appropriate then to follow through with our recommendation for filling vacancies. And this decision that I've come up with to recommend to admin finance is not an easy one. And as you know, I mean, we try to take into consideration and be good stewards of taxpayers' dollars. And this is something that's shared with both admin and our elected officials. And the time study, as you know, was needed to justify at the time, it was one position, but since then we have a new appointment, which then created 2 vacant positions in that department. So our time study sort of morphed into a larger time study, because now we try to justify 2 vacant positions. And at first early on, I was leaning towards having a 2 full-time, so that means a working elected official plus 1. And I was leaning towards that way. The team that we created to do this time study was Michelle Waltmath, Kyle Patterson, Tabitha Murphy, and each of them did their share of doing certain aspects of the time study and then presented a memo, which you have now in front of you. And so based on the memos and analyzing the data and obtaining other information, filling the vacant positions at this time is not feasible. So it is now a elected official working position. However, I want you to know that this is a slow period for that department. So maybe it's not fair. We did have a meeting with the new Register of Deeds this morning. Kyle and Michelle and we all met. And because this material was just presented and finished on Friday afternoon, that's how this stuff has been pretty intense, and we try to get it done timely because she does have vacancies in that area. So we did meet, and I did indicate that I feel like another time study has to be done. I've asked her to identify a busy time for her to be fair. I mean, if you go into any department, if it's a slow period, you're probably not going to get the same result as you would if you go into a busy time. So we are going to do this again. So as it lays right now, it's a 1 person. So it's the elected working position right now. We're anticipating as early as April to do this again. So maybe it's April, maybe it's May, maybe it's June. I put it in the Register of Deeds, I guess, court now to make that decision. And I made clear, make sure you do this right, because we're going to actually come out for a week. We're actually going to sit for a week. Maybe a day is not good enough. We're going to sit for a week in there. If I say we, it's going to be 1 person doing this time study, but it'll be a span of a week, and she has to determine that week. So that needs to be her best attempt to show what the true picture is in that department. Okay. So again, looking at maybe April or June for that. So what's going to happen right now, right? We have 1 person in that department. We have to consider breaks. We have to consider vacations. She's got to go to seminars and such, And what I've kind of helped her with is to appoint a deputy that's currently working here. We have 2 deputies on our staff that have experience in that department. We have others that don't, but the decision is entirely hers. And I've asked her to work with department heads, right? You first must approach the department head to see if this person is a potential candidate to, fill in for, could it be a lunch hour? Could another person within the county fill in for vacation? Could another one fill in for the training? And she can appoint more than 1. It's not paid more, it's just an appointment. The benefit on the side of the person being appointed is that they will gain experience, right? We always have to think about succession planning, that if this doesn't pan out, that she gets a full-time person after the April or June time study, that one of these positions could potentially move up into that position if that department grows. or if she, moves on. Again, I want to emphasize, this is not set in stone. It is just for now, and it's another 2 months. So I guess what I'm looking for is your approval, because this is my recommendation. I've come to you for the final.
Question is that, so, I mean, those positions are paid as a limited term employee then when they fill in, or is that how it's, comes out of the budget, or I guess that's my question is,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
so if she appoints somebody that's currently working here, they're not getting additional pay. They're just assuming, to fill in, and could be just for a lunch hour.
But I mean, and I know the treasurer has her hand up, I would say if it's somebody from the treasurer's office, that money doesn't come out of the treasurer's budget, it comes out of the registered deeds budget. So,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
so I'm thinking about that, perhaps there is a way we could do that, where that particular time could be. I guess we'll have to come up with some pay codes. I'm looking at Kyle.
Mr. Chair,
yes,
yeah, I think we'll work out the details or something like that.
treasurer,
What are the statutory guidelines about stating about cross offices? I think there's some stuff out there that.
Mr. Chair,
yes,
so as it relates to the statutes, it says that there's certain elected officials that they can assign or shall assign one or more deputies. So I did reach out to Andy Phillips, who's the WCA attorney, for guidance on this. And he educated me about just what one meant, because I wanted to know, was it a full-time dedicated to one department? Is that what one means? And he says, no. He said it could be, you could have a person could be a deputy for multiple departments. So you can have someone that works in another department be a deputy of another. It could be a part-time position. It could be. I mean, obviously, we're looking for our current our employment staff here to become a deputy. They don't need to have experience, although perhaps that's something she would want because it means less training. But the decision is hers on who she appoints.
so where's copies?
2 questions. Can that person say no?
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Yes.
Second question is, rate of pay is the same rate of pay as she's at her current job? Does it raise or lower if she transfers over?
Mr. Chair?
yes,
So this appointment is at the same rate of pay. It's just another assignment that they have. And again, it's not intensive. It's just to fill in for lunch, vacation, or somebody getting trained. So it's helping the person at the window, answering the calls, and, taking the data that comes in through the internet or email.
so question I have is that, I mean, we have LTEs in the clerk's office, correct, and in the treasurer's, I don't know, do we? I mean, are they, but when we had them in the past, right, or,
And I told Cynthia that we used to have like an on-call list or whatever of people for all the entire county at one time, but I think Casey got rid of all that.
but when we had those, they weren't deputized, or are they deputized? No, they're not deputized.
Not that I was aware
Okay,
of.
okay,
I don't know.
okay,
We never had any in our office, so I couldn't answer that.
but I know the clerk's office had them in the past, and LTEs and helping out, so they don't have to be deputized, so. I mean, just to cover for those areas when we can do something, right? And that's the concern, I think.
Mr. Chair, so my recommendation at this time is that we don't spend the money. We have staff internally that can assume the responsibility at this time. I may come back in April or June when we do this time study and they get busy. Now we may be talking about dollars, having someone dedicated to that department. And I wanted to be fair, to Julie, that, I'm listening because, they say they need somebody. I'm listening. I have to have the data to support it. It's not that I don't trust, people, I have to come forth with data that supports a decision. Right now, as it stands, I don't have it. There's a lot of non-essential duties being done. And what I mean by non-essential, I don't mean that it's not important. It's stuff that can wait. It's a time filler, if you will. The non-essential things that are happening, the big one was back indexing. This is something that puts us at a different level, though. Like if we're talking about really providing great customer service, it gives us another notch. But is it statutorily required? No. That's where I go with non-essential. I don't want you to think that what they do in there is not important, because it is. And what they have been doing is the customer service level being raised. They raised the bar a little bit, but it's non-essential.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I haven't been asked to look into this, but as I normally do when I get go over the agenda, I go through some things and I look at possible legal issues that may come up, and also this matter had actually come up in November. I kind of looked at it too, so I do just have some concerns, and again, I'm not taking a position one way or the other how this should be. But when I look at the statute, and again, I'd like to talk to Andy on this to find out, because I didn't find any case law on this. But it says under 59.43 sub 3 of the Wisconsin statutes regarding the register of deeds and deputies, says every register of deeds shall appoint one or more deputies who shall hold office at the register's pleasure. Again, I think an argument can be made is that they have to have at least one deputy. An argument can be made on that. It also goes on to talk about the appointment shall be in writing and shall be recorded in the registrar's office. The deputy or deputies shall aid the register in the performance of the registrar's duties under the registrar's direction. In the case of the registrar's vacancy or the registrar's absence or inability to perform the duties of the register office, a deputy or deputy shall perform the duties of the register until the vacancy is filled or during the continuations of the absence. The concern that I have there is the term shall, and that when you use it in legislature, that's mandatory. But also under 59.22, the county board. Let's see here. A lot of writing here, but to get to the point, says the county board can establish the number of employees in any department or office, including deputies to the elected officers. So an argument can be made there is that the county board can say, no, you don't need a deputy. And so you have conflicting statutes there, but again, looking down subsection 4 in that same statute, it says, in the event of conflict between the section and other statutes, this section, to the extent of the conflict, shall prevail. So in other words, again, the reasonable reading on that is the county board, again, gets to decide. However, again, you go up here, there's another section that says that it shall be limited only by express language, and then that's where the shall appoint comes in. So taking all that, I looked up case law to find if there's anything specifically relating to register of deeds, and I didn't find anything. So again, there's some issues there. I did find a case law regarding the sheriff of Milwaukee County who wanted additional deputies, and basically they said, no, the county board gets to decide. But in that one, the statute wasn't shall appoint, it was may. He argued, well, then if I don't get the deputies, I can't perform my constitutional duties. And basically, I actually brought this along here, constitutional duties. It says, basically, the county has to provide the financial resources to fulfill the constitutional duties. And the sheriff there basically said, well, they provided me the financial resources because I can do it with overtime. They said, although that's not the best use of county funds, but so they said he could do his constitutional duty. So we got to look there too and then say, if we go without one, or if we go part-time, or again, I don't know about part-time or anything, I haven't looked into that. But is it going to be enough for the register of deeds to do their constitutional duty? So I agree with Cynthia here, a time study would be good again, but also give me some time to talk to Andy, find out where I can look for any statute or case law to support it, because I don't have the answers.
Supervisor copies.
Can the supervisor say no?
No to what?
the appointment of somebody out of her staff going over to register of deeds.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
so the scenario I was given by Andy Phillips was that the register of deeds can appoint whomever they want. Okay? We can choose whether to pay them or not. Okay, so that's why my recommendation is choose somebody that's already on our staff. Otherwise, the dollars aren't there.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, that's where I'd have the issue of, under a constitutional issue, whether we're providing the financial resource support. Because if we're saying, yes, you need the position, then we've got to provide the financial resources.
But if the position's already vacant, where's that money? I mean, it's there.
Mr. Chair, hopefully it will pass. Okay, okay.
So we did have deputies started for registrations.
Sure, you,
Sir.
I don't know if you're using your microphone.
Oh, sorry.
Because Bob.
It's so loud anyway. Mike, and I have offered, because the previous deputy is in my office at this point, that in this interim thing that Kim's there. And we can cover lunches or whatever. We tell people that they'll be right back, and most people have been very good about that part. My concern would be if you're offering other county employees who already have their own jobs to do, is the availability at the time that they may. And I am making the assumption Kim could be one of the options to do that, but she's in transit of learning a whole complete new job set herself, and a lot of that should be taken into consideration on that. Not that we're being negative or anything, but it's an option.
Supervisor Rick Pease.
My worry here is we have a new supervisor, even though she's been in that office for quite a while, that she's learning the ropes as a new department head and with probably considerable training coming up on her behalf. I okay with the time study, and I think it's a good idea. I would rather see us go possibly with a limited term employee for maybe 4 hours a day, so they can get some on-the-job training, and they could actually be the deputy past that, kind of like what Lyanna has currently. And they can get that training in a little bit more than, we'll just call you in every once in a while until that till the Julie feels better and we get a better time study. That's where I'm at with this. This is a hard decision. I believe that we can probably move away and make that possibly a one-person department, but also we have to understand how new that person is in that position also.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
so what you don't know, there are interviews set up for tomorrow for the vacancy. And if it is the wish, I'm going with what you recommend. I presented that right now I don't have it substantiated. The data is not there for a full-time or part-time. But April could reveal something different. And yes, there is a learning curve right now. She is under a little stress. So if we do move forward with the interviews tomorrow, we could change it from being a full-time, because they all responded because they wanted a full-time job. We could change it and have it as a part-time. That, let's go with this, we could say part-time. And in April or June or whenever that study is, and it comes back that yes, a full-time is warranted, then that part-time now becomes full-time. We could go that route.
Supervisor Taylor?
I'm a little concerned. First off, there's money budgeted for 2 deputies. It was, that position or department has always had 2 deputies. We're talking about cutting it all the way to 0 deputies. I think that's a little drastic. I'm kind of leaning that I think we should go with the 1 full-time deputy. These people take vacations. There's always possibilities of illnesses, surgeries, whatnot. That department has been one of the most efficient departments in the whole county. I don't think we should mess with it too much.
Supervisor Scott?
I agree, well said, Jerry.
Supervisor Barkey, were you gonna say something? I know you turned your mic on there.
There are no secrets. Well, I'm not sure I agree with what Jerry just said, regarding, all of the different things that could happen or should happen or whatever, but I know once you put one in there, whether it's deemed necessary or not becomes a non-issue. Because once these positions are created or funded, they will not go away. It's one of those things that right now we have the advantage of not filling a full-time position. And so far, what I've heard is everybody seems to agree that the second time study is fine as a busier time of year to find out if it's warranted. I personally would love to see that we at least head down that avenue versus getting more employees now and then having to try and sort through and see if we could either cut them or something, and that creates a whole different issue. And if we don't have to go down that path, I certainly would encourage us not to go down that path.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
what I'd like to add is, so what you're focusing right now is one department. I have a big picture. So there's other departments that are seeking positions, and I have to worry about sustainability overall, county-wide. So if we just look at one department, it's easy to maybe go a certain way, right? But if I have to worry about pay increases in the future, keeping up with competition, offering benefits, everything comes at $1. And I'm just gonna be honest, it's a challenge when I look out too far. So I'm doing my part in justifying position. I'm coming forth with you today, letting you know, as it stands right now, it is not justified. Very clear, it is not justified, okay? That doesn't mean, and I'm listening to the department head, that the justification is there. I just need to capture it during a busy period. I would feel much better coming to you then, recommending a position where I have data then that supports it.
And my position is similar to Supervisor Barsky's. I mean, and I understand there's money in the budget but it's hard once you offer a full-time position to say that, well, hey, I'm sorry, but 6 months afterwards, I'm gonna have to cut you to halftime. I mean, how do we deal with that? And it's easier to ask somebody to put more time in and see if their availability is there than trying to cut them and say, that's a harder conversation to have, so. County treasurer.
I understand. Okay, I'm gonna try and say, do we need to, like the way it was before, probably my personal opinion, probably not. But another consideration is the type of the office. This is a public service entity that we're supposed to be open and we're supposed to have the availability. It's not like somebody that sits in an office and can make appointments to see people. So we have to be available for the public too. So
if you leave it, it's just my thing, if you leave it to one person and that person ends up being sick or having to come to a meeting or whatever, you do need to have something, I think, of some sort to be able to cover that, and that's where I would ask you to consider that along with whatever decision.
Mr. Chair. So as it relates to having coverage, I did meet with Julie after the morning meeting today. I met with her one-on-one and just, tried to work out what's this gonna look like. And what I left her with was that she can appoint more than one. She can have one appointment, let's say across the hall, and that person can cover for lunches because the window's right there. You can see if there's a customer, right? She can appoint another one to do vacation, somebody. Or her trainings, all of that. If she's sick, work it out with if it's the treasurer, whatever. But what I had told her is that she needs to meet with those department heads. We're a pretty good team here, and I have not seen a department head that was not willing to help out, at least in the short term, right? I'm only looking until we can get the job study that covers a busy time, right? Then I feel like I've got a good picture. Right now, the picture is not very good for, having more than one person in that department. So at least in the short term, work with the department heads. And I said, you can appoint 3, and it doesn't have to be somebody that has experience. It's who is available, who can take on a little bit more. The benefit, again, to the person that's taking on this duty is that they're getting cross-trained. And this is a potential area that they could actually move up into, grow, stay within the county. We're all about succession planning, and that this is a great tool. And again, it's just temporary until I can get through the busy time study. Thank you.
Supervisor Barsky.
Just a quick question. Is this something that maybe we could let it play out for a month and you come back next month? Especially if the current register of deeds is saying I'm overwhelmed, I need somebody now. And certainly address it then. I mean, right now, we're saying, it's easier just to appoint somebody, have her appoint a deputy and done deal. And I'm not sure, well, the way it sounds, time study did not reflect that was necessary. And if we're gonna go by this time study at all, then we probably need to follow through with it.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
The appointments can happen right away, by the way. I mean, it can happen after this meeting. I think she's already, after my meeting with her alone, one-on-one, it was decided, I think she was gonna go ahead and start thinking about what that looks like. Is it 1, is it 2, is it 3? So whatever she needs. It looks like her next training too, that she indicated to me would be in June. So that'll be well after we decide, if there's a full-time position needed. So the next training, and I think she told me it was a 5-day training. So see, she'll be out of the office for 5 days. It all seems to be lining up okay. I mean, we've got a little time here. We all just have to work together. We've got, like I said, we've got a good team here.
There's one.
Supervisor Bannon. If you have an interview today, didn't you say you had an interview with somebody for that? Tomorrow, okay. And that person turns out to be a good fit for this position and wants the position, what are you gonna tell that person?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
The intent or the direction I'm trying to get today is whether those need to be canceled. Just gonna be honest that those interviews should not have been set up because the time study wasn't done.
County treasurer.
I'm just giving out information on this one. That's her first official register of deeds training and stuff like that. There is another conference that's the first week in March, and she had said she probably wouldn't go to it because she didn't know if she'd have staff or whatever. but that's legislative and it's all constitutional officers, and I'm just saying that would have been a really good one for her to get a good start to, but this is why she's not attending, because the not having the persons to be able to help her out.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I will share with that comment that what was shared with me is that she did cancel the March meeting. But we were anticipating having a person in there, so I don't know that that's, I don't know if that's actually precise on the reason why she canceled, okay? Because we were, like, again, I was leaning towards having two in there, because at first I was initially told that I had to have one in there, statute wise, that I had to have another one in there, which was not. I got additional guidance on that.
Supervisor Marson.
Well, given the fact that she can appoint, well, we could say immediately, is what I just heard, I think. I guess I would suggest that we follow the time study for the current time period.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So with that time study time, that's on Julie to let me know when to identify a week that she feels like is representative of a busy time for her.
Does that need a second?
It was a suggestion, it wasn't a motion.
Well, but my question now is a motion in order? I kind of feel uneasy.
I think we have to make a decision and vote on it, either not to do anything, hire part-time or hire full-time. It sounds like we gotta make one of those decisions.
Well, I would move that we follow the time study currently.
And that means not hiring anybody. Not hiring any additional staff.
Well, that could change though with the new time study, right?
Correct. Yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll
yeah, but
follow
at this
the-
time, at least, that's your motion. I just wanted to clarify the motion.
I'll second.
Okay. So the motion is to follow the time study and not hire any additional staff at this time, but you know, for clarification, if there are people that are filling in from any other departments, I would assume that the time is going to be charged to the registered deeds department and not to any of the departments where they're coming from, because, you know, I mean, that's my assumption, so. And that's what I heard was doable.
And Mr. Chair, kind of thinking out loud here, is this something that needs to go before the county board? Because according to the statute, the county board determines whether the position is needed or not. When I look at 5922.
And I guess we can leave it at the committee right now, and you can look at that.
Okay.
And let me know, so if it needs to, we can put it on the county board agenda, so,
Okay, thank you.
okay. Supervisor Taylor?
Bob kind of beat me to the punch, but I was thinking more along the lines of a compromise of going through with those interviews that they have planned and hiring a part-time person for now with the possibility of it morphing into a full-time position later.
And yeah, I guess part-time, it would be, you know, what hours, I guess, I mean, and, I mean, that could be up to staff on what that would mean, I guess, so.
If I might just answer the Jerry's there regarding that. First part, I kind of agree with Jerry, but the second part is you're saying we either should or shouldn't hire. Where if you go ahead with the interview, you know what's out there, what's available. I think that's probably not the worst idea in the world. And I mean, that the other decision is yet to come. And if you find that outstanding individual, probably would want to come back and say, you know, we're good to go. I don't know, it's a kind of touchy right in the middle of this whole thing.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
so I'm gonna put this out there. We went through the effort of a time study. This is what I'm challenged to do, is I'm supposed to challenge vacancies. So if you find value in that, then please listen to what I'm presenting to you. That's my request.
okay. Any other discussion questions? So motion on the floor is to not hire at this time and currently wait till the next time study. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay.
Nay.
Okay. Is that one or two? Scott?
I,
Okay, so one nay, so, I mean, for the interviews that are tomorrow, I mean, you know, I mean, if you were gonna have them, I mean, it'd be a part-time position that might be filled in the future, but I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, we'll let management decide what they want to do with those. We're not gonna step on anybody's toes there, so, but you heard some of the comments that were made, so. Okay. And Corp Council will look that up and now we'll see what we have to do. If we have to take that to the full board or, okay. So if it is on the board agenda or not, I guess we'll let you know where that resides and what the Corp Council's found out on that, so. Next item is investing additional funds with PMA. Kyle or Cynthia's gonna handle this, or?
Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Yeah, all I have included on here is just a graph kind of demonstrating the approach that PMA uses to keep interest rates at a level steady, because the approach that we're using is a ladder approach. We're investing funds that into CDs or treasury instruments, and they're having an expiration date of 6 months, 12 months. And so like every few months, we're having these instruments mature. But we're also, so that way we have the cash available if we do need it in like a couple months or whenever we potentially need it. But we're using this ladder approach just to kind of maintain the interest rate at certain levels. So you can see when we first started with PMA, the interest rates that we were getting were considerably higher than the local financial institutions. But now it looks like the local financial institutions do have the edge on the current interest rates. But again, this is a weighted average of the interest rates. So some of these interest rates were secured months ago when the interest rates weren't as good. Now currently PMA is getting CDs coming back. What was that, Jenny? 4.5,
4 to 4.7.
yeah. So their interest rates are higher. So what we're suggesting is that we should put more available funds over to PMA, so that way we can have steady interest rates and maintain consistent returns rather than being subject to market rates. Hope that summarized it clearly for everybody.
Mr. Chair,
yes.
Kyle, do you want to maybe elaborate on maybe a dollar amount that
Yeah.
you're recommending? That would probably be helpful.
that's what I was waiting on.
Well, you know, Mr. Chair, so
Yes,
right now, Janie kind of evaluates the available cash that we have. She works closely with the finance department on how much we're gonna be paying out here in the next, like every single week, how much we're paying out for our checks that the county issues. So she works pretty closely with us, and she's able to maintain cash reserves at an adequate amount to ensure that we have the cash available immediately to meet immediate expenditures. And then through the approach that PMA is using with the ladder approach, then if we see an opportunity where we need to pull funds away, that would be something that Janny would work with me on. If we need to move funds out, anyway, so we didn't really have a dollar amount that we were requesting. It was more just kind of at the discretion of Janny, Cynthia, and myself.
Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Kubarski.
Kyle, how liquid are these funds? You said we could pull some out. Is there a time period involved, or are they immediately liquid?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe, so for the CDs, it would, you'd be penalized, I believe, if you wouldn't get the interest. I'd have to confirm that with PMA on exactly how that would work. But when they mature, we're able to access them immediately. So once that time frame is up on the CD or the treasury note, then we're able to pull that money out of PMA back over to our general checking account.
Without penalty? Is that what I heard?
Well, if they are matured, yes. Because when they mature, then they just go into, it's basically just cash that's available with PMA. Just like having a checking account.
Scott Pease. Scott Pease.
I guess I can't make the decision unless I know what the dollar amount is.
Oh, gee,
County treasurer.
I just gonna put out, I understand, the PMA ones right now, I mean, if you could go to the 3 months, 6 months, and they're still over that 4, the idea behind that is it's gonna be stable. We don't know what the monthly accounts are going to be at the regular rates. They're looking good now, but they could go down just as fast as they're little going up. If you wanted to do this as an option now, I can say that now would be the time to do it for, say, some short term, because we are now coming in with the tax season, and this is where we have some monies that we can invest until we have to pay it out in August. And we do have backup, so it's an idea. That's up to you guys as far as amounts, if you would.
And Supervisor Pease.
Gene, this is the end of our first 6 months trial right now. So we're making a decision based, if we want to continue, correct, with the 5 million we currently have invested.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, the 5 million that we already have invested in certain instruments over at PMA, between treasury notes and CDs. This is to invest in additional funds or transfer additional funds over to PMA for further investments.
I'm having the clerk pull up the treasurer's report on your, so you can see the dollar amounts. No, if you just scroll down a little bit, we can see most of them. No, I mean, go back to the top of the page. I think we can see most of them right there. So, county treasurer.
What you're not seeing on this one, only because we just had the 6 month, we had 3 or 4 of them that came mature. And you're not gonna see that until next month because it just happened. But the investment, interest was 28,000 that we just got this last week.
From
Based on
PMA.
a 6
From
month.
PMA.
From PMA, you don't see it here because you're not gonna see it till the next report. But, so you got the 5 million, and if you were to look at it, we got $40,000 in the last 6 months just with interest on that. When you see that next month, so if that's a helpful concept to see, because you didn't see a whole lot because it was just getting started, so we haven't seen. We still have other ones out there that will be coming due, but we did reinvest that amount already.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
so if we're looking at this list, if you look at the top 2, we know the solid waste can't be touched. I think that's what we had determined before. So we're not looking at those numbers. So numbers that we're not looking at, Janny, can you help me? I think there is some that we want to keep at the bank level, which is, if I look at the next, so 1, 2, 3 down, general disbursement, that stays, correct?
That is our regular account that we pay things out. Yes.
Okay, so that stays. Now we have a money market. This is a potential, right? This is a potential. Now we're looking at some dollars that can move. We have the money market 1594. We have, what about the payroll account? Is that something that needs to stay?
You have to keep that, that's your payroll.
Okay.
That's where we pull monies out of the disbursement to help pay the payroll.
So we're not touching that one.
The other account you could possibly look at is that Prevail. But they've been our highest ranked for quite some time with 8 million. That's there. That's what I kind of call our savings account. We've not had to touch that. Or that other money that for PMA.
And then we have the local government investment pool.
Correct.
Okay.
How come there isn't, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair,
Yes,
how come there isn't an interest amount on the money market?
The one up at the top?
Yeah.
Oh,
they're all at 3.98%.
all accounts are at that 3.98. The bank
Okay.
had changed that, so everybody's getting that,
All right,
not just the 2 accounts.
I didn't realize that, thanks.
Sorry.
Mr. Chair,
Supervisor Kubarski.
we talked about this before when we set this up, but as a reminder, what's the risk involved with PMA?
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
yeah, the risk is minimal. It's probably the same amount of risk as investing with local financial institutions.
Mr. Chair, so a risk that I can offer you is this. We're trying to standardize, right? We're trying to keep a level playing field with investments. The risk would be that interest rates shoot up when we've got something locked in at PNA. But the safety is if it drops, we're locked in. So depends on how you want to look at it. There's a risk if the rates go up, but then there's the risk if rates go down. And what we're trying to do with PMA is keep it low.
any wishes from the committee?
I guess as I look at it here, because Prevail has constantly given us a pretty good rate, I wouldn't want to touch their money, but I would lean towards moving that anywhere between $5 to $9 million out of that money market and move that over to PMA. That's where I'm at. I'm not making that motion. I'm saying that would be my position at the current time. PMA has done a good job with their money, and I think they'll continue to do a good job with their money, but I also believe Prevail is also doing the best they can. So I'm just looking at that money market account possibly to be moved.
I mean, if we'd be placing stuff with PMA today, if it give us the 4.5% that Prevail gives us, I mean, right?
Yep, Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Yeah, so when we place stuff with PMA, like we've gone through this a couple times now where we've had investments mature and we've discussed with PMA and trying to lock in the best rate. We also do look at the current interest rates of the local institutions as well. We compare those.
Supervisor Scott.
I'll make a motion to take half of what's in the money market account and put it in the PMA investments.
From one community bank.
Yes. Or, yeah,
So 4.5 million.
right.
Okay. The motion to move 4.5 million, so might as well keep a nice little account from one community bank's money market into PMA investments.
Right.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second discussion. Supervisor Kubarski.
Yeah, so what are we potentially gaining? And I know that's a moving target, I understand that. But I guess I'm just a little uncomfortable moving some of this money out from our good accounts. They have been good, and it seems like the one community has finally seen the light, and that they're willing to pay a little more for investments in interest. I guess I'm not really opposed to it, but I certainly want to limit it. So, Scott, I think that was an appropriate figure, but I'm not totally comfortable. I guess that's what I'm gonna say.
Supervisor Rick.
I agree with you, Bob, but I also remember from the PMA investment consultant that was here, one community bank can also buy some of that back. So I think the number Scott gave is pretty good, and it also gives our local banks a chance to buy some of that back also, so they can still reinvest it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, when PMA goes out to get quotes on interest rates, I believe they do still check with the local financial institutions. At least they did the first run that we did with them. So they do have the opportunity to give quotes on CDs.
And my sentiments are similar with the local community bank. I know they work well with us, and probably in the past, I don't know if the fees are still low or, which is a good thing to have, is that we have that good local presence with the community, and don't want to see that go away. I'd hate to see, I'd rather take money from Prevail but so if we're going to, reduce more funds, I would like to see it out of there, but I'm fine with that right now. But we gotta keep that in the back of our minds. That is a local bank, and they don't charge us a lot of fees for nickel and diming us, where if we were like with BMO Harris, it would cost us a ton of money, so. So Supervisor Taylor.
PMA has done well with us so far, but you have to remember, they've only been with us for 6 months. We initially agreed to give them $5 million for 6 months and see how it worked out. The market is pretty volatile right now. You don't know what's going to happen, so I'm kind of towards leave everything just the way it is and look at this in the future, maybe a month or two or so down the road.
Supervisor Brushman.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, John, I think you made a valid point regarding the fees and so forth that are assessed or non-assessed. Are we giving up anything to draw that money out?
It's in a money market account, right? So it's not a CD, right?
Yeah, we're not, they've been really good with us. We have a good stable account. I mean, I'm looking at this, sorry, I didn't do this. We can easily, I would say at this time, like I said, I think tonight, if you're going to do it, I think now would be the time to do it. If we do this in August, that's my questionable thing, because we're gonna be dishing out 12, 13 million back to the municipalities. But at the meantime, from now till then, we have that tax money that is only partially seen as of right now. Come this February settlement, we'll have more. But you got almost 2 million in that local government investment pool that I pull over. That can, I mean, we haven't even looked at that part. So if you say 4.5, oh, I got almost 2 that I probably pull out of that local government investment pool, so it's not gonna be as much out of the one community bank part. But they're really good with us, and the rates have been good. Actually, local government investment pool is our criteria for one community bank. If they go down, then one community bank's gonna go down in their interest rate. That's the agreement that we have right now.
Okay. So the motion that we're voting on is to move $4.5 million out of the money market into PMA. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying nay. You're fine. Okay. Just want to make sure. Okay.
Jenny convinced me.
Motion passes. So. Okay. Fine, then. Upcoming agenda items, we'll have them as we move forward. Otherwise, look for a motion to convene in closed session per Wisconsin State Statute 1985, paren 1, paren C, for purposes of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which a governmental body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility. Discuss and or act on hiring mechanics. So,
I move closed session.
okay, motion by Supervisor Barsky, second by Supervisor Paylor. Roll call vote. Supervisor Barsky,
Yes.
Supervisor Rigby,
Yes.
Supervisor Scott Pease,
Yes.
Supervisor Paylor, Supervisor West, yes, so we're in closed session, so.
Mr. Chair, I asked that Pat Kozlowski stay for.
Okay.
Obviously, Michelle.
Michelle.